Hello everyone, you are watching Motor of Heart and it is a very short, quick comparison video between the Himalayan and our newly launched Suzuki vstrom SX. And at the end of the video, I am going to share my experience about Himalayan and compare that experience with the vstrom SX. So stay tuned at the end of the video, don't miss any updates in this whole video. So let's start to the body or design or chassis of this both motorcycles. Well, Himalayan is a kind of a motorcycle which retro and a mix of a retro and modern design, whereas the vstrom SX, it is a modern adventure tourer, completely modern adventure tourer. Himalayan is quite heavy. The weight of the Himalayan is 199 kg, whereas a vstrom SX is quite lighter. It is having a weight of 167 kg. Himalayan has a shorter seat height, which is happened to be 800 mm, whereas the vstrom has a taller seat height, that is a 835 mm, and you can short that 835 to 810 mm, but you have to pay more for that as an accessory. Then Himalayan has a shorter wheelbase, that's surprising, but vstrom has a longer wheelbase than Himalayan. The ground clearance of the Himalayan is quite good. It is a 220 mm, whereas vstrom SX has a shorter ground clearance at of 205 mm, which is not quite a big difference, but definitely in off-road scenarios the difference is going to be prominent. Being a modern retro design, Himalayan has halogen headlights, whereas in vstrom we have all LED headlights. Let's talk about the wheel sizes of this motorcycle. Guys, in Himalayan we have spoke wheels at the front, which is a 21 inch, and at the rear we have a spoke wheel of 17 inch. The tire size of Himalayan at front is a 19, and tire section and at the rear we have a 120 section tire, whereas vstrom SX has a alloy wheels, and in front we have a 19 inch and at the rear we have a 17 inch, and the tire section is a big in a vstrom. At the front we have a 100 section tire and at the rear we have a 140 section tire. So tire size is big, so it will have a more grip in the road for sure. The most important part is Himalayan has tube tires, whereas vstrom SX is gonna have a tubeless tire. Let's talk about the suspensions of this motorcycle. Both motorcycle has a telescopic forks at the front, but the travel of that suspension is quite different. In Himalayan we have a 200 mm travel, whereas in a vstrom SX we have just a 120 mm travel. This is quite low for an off-road motorcycle. It is even low than FZ, Yamaha FZ, so that's not a good thing as an off-roader for vstrom. At the rear we have a adjustable monoshock in the both motorcycles. The Himalayan is quite, kind of a comfortable riding motorcycle. It is less stiff, and vstrom SX is quite more stiffer than Himalayan, but it's not also a very uncomfortable kind of thing, but it is going to be more stiffer than Himalayan, and Himalayan definitely going to be more cushiony kind of a suspension. Let's talk about the heart of these motorcycles. Himalayan has a 411cc single cylinder oil cooled 2-valve motor, whereas in vstrom SX we have a 249cc oil cooled 4-valve modern kind of a motor. Why modern? Because Himalayan has a long stroke kind of a piston, and vstrom has a shorter kind of a modern kind of a piston. Himalayan produces 24.3 bhp at 6500 rpm, whereas Suzuki produces 26.1 bhp at 9300 rpm. The torque output in Himalayan is a 32 Nm at 4000 to 4500 rpm range, whereas in a Suzuki the engine torque output is 22.2 Nm at 7300 rpm. The power figures are quite different, and the peak torque and power is also quite different. The Himalayan produces both the power and the torque quite early, and Suzuki produces at a higher RPM. The main highlight of the Himalayan motor is a strong low end, punchy mid end and lacking top end, whereas in Suzuki we have a equal distribution of the power character, means at the low end also we have some amount of low end, then we have good amount of mid-range and also a good amount of top-end performance. So Suzuki's motor is quite a high-living motor, and Himalayan is a retro kind of a long stroke motor. Let's talk about the clutch and gearbox. The Himalayan has a 5-speed gearbox and it does not come with any kind of a slip and assist clutch. The Suzuki has a 6-speed gearbox. It also doesn't come with any slip assist clutch, but it has a lighter clutch than Himalayan, and 6-speed, the 6th gear is a boon to ride on a highway higher speeds. So that's good for Suzuki. Let's talk about the top speed of this motorcycle. The top speed of the Himalayan is around 130 to 140 kmph depending upon your weight and road condition, whereas in Suzuki you're gonna definitely hit 140 kmph. It is I told you it is a more modern, a faster motorcycle than Himalayan. The 0 to 100 is going to be around 11 seconds for Himalayan, and in Suzuki definitely going to be better than Himalayan at around 10 seconds. In instrument cluster, Himalayan is a retro kind of a instrument cluster again. We just have a newly launched 2021 model, has a Google connected navigation system, that's it. Whereas in Suzuki V-strom we have a very modern instrument cluster which has a Bluetooth connectivity with your phone, where you can get a call notification, message notification, everything. The fuel tank capacity of Himalayan is higher than a Suzuki. It has a 15-liter tank, whereas in Suzuki we have a 12-liter tank, but the mileage of the Suzuki is more, so which is going to be around 35 to 40 range, and whereas in Himalayan the mileage is 28 to 35 kind of range. So the range of you're gonna get from this motorcycle is going to be similar due to this mileage. About the braking of this motorcycle, both motorcycles are equipped with dual channel ABS, but in Himalayan we have a switchable ABS option, but in Suzuki V-strom we don't have a kind of option to switch off your rear ABS. About the price of these motorcycles, Himalayan has a 2,14,000 rupees ex-showroom price depending on your city, whereas Suzuki has ex-showroom price of 2,11,000 rupees in Delhi. Ex-showroom prices, both are ex-showroom, and the gap is not a huge, so quite a similar price bracket. So summing up everything, we have two motorcycles. One, Himalayan with its retro, modern, mixed kind of a design, whereas we have a Suzuki V-strom with its completely modern kind of adventure tourer design, and both the motorcycles are very different in their class, in their category, because Himalayan is more inclined towards off-road riders, whereas Suzuki V-strom is more inclined towards a road biased riders who want to travel along in a highway and they just want to go for a mild off-roading sometimes, whereas Himalayan is a very capable motorcycle in off-road scenarios than a Suzuki. And there are many reasons to say this, because Himalayan has a spoked wheel, Himalayan has a better suspension travel at the front, and the suspension quality is also very cushiony, which soaks up any bumps, and Suzuki has going to have a little bit stiffer suspensions, and it has alloy wheels, so, and the suspension travel is also very less than Himalayan. So at the end of this video, should I sell my Himalayan and buy Suzuki V-strom SX? Definitely not, guys, definitely not. I am happy with my Himalayan, and as I told you before, Himalayan is a very tried and tested, matured kind of a off-roader motorcycle, and as my purpose was buying an off-roader, that's why I choose Himalayan. If your purpose is different, you have a more riding style of on a road, a faster riding style. Himalayan is also not a very slow kind of motorcycle. It has a 130 kmph speed, but if you even want a modern kind of motorcycle, yeah, Suzuki V-strom is for you. So choose wisely, test ride both motorcycles, and that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye, and do subscribe this channel because I'm gonna upload more informative videos about motorcycling world. So do subscribe.